Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to another Season 8 League of Legends Champion Guide. Today, I'll be covering AD carry Twitch, the Plague Rat.
What doesn't kill you just isn't finished yet.
Alright, so let's kick off this guide by first looking at Twitch's pros. Twitch is an AD carry that's actually able to assassinate targets because he does have a really good escape and engage from the camouflage from his Q ability. Since he does also have some very good scaling, he also has some high snowball potential because he can stealth up to a squishy target over and over again and delete them. Now Twitch's ultimate is absolutely insane as well. It does hit all targets in a line, so he has amazing team fight at the same time. He's a very strong AD carry at the moment, and he's definitely a very viable pick. Now Twitch of course also has his fair share of cons. He's got some very limited mobility, so positioning is very important on him. Use the camouflage from your Q ability to sneak around the map and then engage when you know you're safe. Now Twitch also does have a pretty mediocre lane phase. He does have some insane scaling ability, so he does a lot of damage in the later stages of the game, but in that early lane phase, he's not going to be the best champion out there. Therefore, you'll probably want to sit back a little bit more and farm as much as you can, and then scale into the late game. For my runes, I like to go for Precision and Sorcery, grabbing Press the Attack as my keystone. This is a really solid keystone on Twitch because you will be building a lot of attack speed, and it gives you some really nice burst damage so you can assassinate those squishy targets. You could of course still go for Fleet Footwork, it is what most AD carries go for, but on Twitch I feel like Press the Attack is much stronger. You'll then want to go for Triumph so your takedowns give you some extra health and gold, and then pick up Alacrity so you get permanent attack speed on takedowns. Then finally finish up that precision side by getting Coup de Grace so you deal more damage to those low health enemies. Then in the sorcery side, you want to go for Celerity and Gathering Storm. Celerity is really strong because you will be granted extra movement speed, which is great for positioning, and even some extra AD based on that movement speed. Gathering Storm is then excellent on Twitch because you will gain increasing AD over time. This is great because you are such a strong late game champion, and it will help you carry games. For your summoner spells, you'll first want to go for Flash. You are a fairly immobile AD carry, and Flash can be used throughout the game to save your life over and over again. Now you do of course also have the option of flashing forward to finish off kills as well, or to just reposition in team fights so you are a lot safer. Now although heal was nerfed in this patch, you'll still definitely have to pick it up as your second summoner spell. It'll give you just an extra boost of survivability and also be great to save your teammates as well if they do get caught in bad situations. You still can kind of use this summoner spell as an offensive for that extra movement speed if you do need to chase enemies running away from you. Twitch's passive is Deadly Venom, which gives him some nice extra damage over time. This has between a 1 and 5 stacking true damage over 6 seconds, which stacks up to 6 times for between 6 and 30 true damage per second. Now this passive does work directly with your E ability as well, which is one of your main sources of damage because it is based on the stacks you have from your passive. That means getting these stacks on your enemy as quickly as possible is very important, especially in those short engages and in team fights. This is one of the many reasons Twitch will want a nice chunk of attack speed so he can quickly get these onto his target so he can expunge them with his E. Your Q ability is Ambush, which is a really nice ability because it does give you camouflage and is great for engaging or escaping. This camo duration is between 10 and 14 seconds, which is a pretty nice duration, and it does also give you 10% bonus movement speed, which is increased to 30 if you are moving towards an enemy champion. That of course is going to make it great for sneaking up to champions to delete them, or you could just use that 10% movement speed and stealth to escape bad situations. Now another reason this ability is fantastic is because you are also granted a bunch of bonus attack speed for 5 seconds. This has a scaling ratio between 30 and 50%, so it's definitely important to get some points into this ability as soon as you can. This ability's cooldown is also reset if a champion dies while affected by your Deadly Venom. So in team fights, this is going to be great because you will be able to use it multiple times, or if you do engage onto a single target and kill them, you can always use this again to escape if somebody else comes into the battle. Your W ability is Venom Cask, which also applies Deadly Venom stacks and slows all enemies within it. The area you throw this ability will be contaminated for 3 seconds, and anybody standing inside will receive a Deadly Venom stack over and over again. This does also have a scaling slow duration of between 25 and 45%. Now during the lane phase, this is a pretty decent ability because you can always use this to throw it around minions and make sure you zone the enemies away from certain sections. Of course, they're not going to want to go inside and start receiving Deadly Venom stacks and be slowed. In teamfights, you can always drop this on the front line as well to help kite enemies with that slow percentage and also apply your stacks. It doesn't apply direct damage, however, the only thing that changes is that slow percentage, so you're not usually going to put too many points in this ability early on. Your E ability is Contaminate, and this is the ability that does a nice chunk of damage based on the stacks of deadly venom on the enemy. In order to actually activate this ability, there of course must be enemies that do have deadly venom within the area, so unless they do, you won't actually be able to use this ability. Now this ability does have a 25% bonus AD ratio per stack, so when you do add that up, if you have 6 stacks, it will have a 150% bonus AD ratio. Therefore, this ability is going to hit your enemies really hard, and it's a great way to execute them after you do auto attack them 6 times. Keep in mind as well, your W and your ultimate both hit multiple targets, so you will want to activate those abilities, so you will be able to use your E ability and hit multiple targets for very high damage. And finally, you've got your ultimate Spray and Pray, which is pretty damn broken, gives you bonus AD, bonus range, and hits multiple targets. This will make your basic attacks travel their full range and skewer every enemy they pass through for their duration. It will also apply on-hit effects and critically strike targets individually. It also gives you between 20 and 40 bonus attack damage, and you gain 300 range for 5 seconds. So basically, if Twitch can position himself safely with this Q, with the attack speed that Q also provides, he will be able to destroy an entire enemy team in just this 5 seconds. If this ultimate goes through the entire enemy team, of course they're also going to have a bunch of passive stacks on them, and then you can activate your E to instantly kill all of them. It is an incredibly busted ultimate, but you have to make sure you position yourself safely so you can hit multiple targets and not have anybody get on top of you. For your skill order, you first want to put a point to your ultimate whenever you can at 6, 11, and 16. You'll then want to focus on maxing your E ability because it is your main source of damage, of course outside of your auto attacks and your ultimate. Then you'll want to move on to maxing your Q ability second because it does have a scaling stealth duration and it does have scaling bonus attack speed, which of course makes it a fantastic ability. That of course means you want to save your W ability for last, but you will want to take a point in it at level 2 so you can start zoning people in the lane and of course apply those deadly venom stacks so you can expunge it with your E. Now let's look at some support synergies, and first up is Bard. Now Bard is going to work great with you because he does have a really strong stun ability, and if you can use your Q ability to go up to them when they are stunned, you will be able to delete them rather easily. You'll be able to drop your W ability on top of those stun targets, and then with the attack speed from your Q ability, delete them rather easily when you combine it with your E. It's definitely not the greatest defensive lane, but there is a lot of all-in potential. Now one really strong defensive combo would be Janna. She has an absolute ton of peel, which is great at keeping you safe so you can get to the late game with your farmed items and start deleting teams. You guys will also have some nice offensive trades since her shield adds attack damage and she can slow targets with her W. There won't be anywhere near as much kill potential as with like a Bard or a Scion, but it will still be pretty decent. The trade-off is all of that great peeling. Another pretty decent combo would be Lulu. She also has some pretty decent peeling as well, but she is also able to buff the Twitch pretty tremendously. You will gain a bunch of health and start slowing people around you with her ultimate, and she will be able to speed boost you as well and also give you picks. Of course, then she will be able to turn people into critters and slow them with her Q, so she will have a pretty decent amount of peel at the same time. And for the last support synergy here, I've got Nami. She's a lot like Lulu in the sense that there is some pretty nice kill potential, but also great peeling. She will be able to poke with her wave ability and also keep you sustained, which is a pretty nice thing about Nami. She'll also be able to peel for you with her ultimate, and she can use her bubble ability either offensively or defensively. It's great when used to engage with you, or if somebody does jump on top of you, she can always get them off you with her bubble. In the lane phase, you'll first want to focus on farming as much as you can. Twitch is a late game hyper carry, but of course you do need your items, so you have to make sure you farm for them as much as you can, and you acquire them as early as possible. In between CS, you'll want to focus on trading on the enemy with both your passive and your E. Try to get as many stacks as you can on the enemy before you use your E, however, so you can do as much damage as possible. When you are looking to all in, you want to use the camouflage from your Q because it also gives you attack speed and makes you activate your ultimate. It will give you a nice chunk of extra attack damage and also give you a really solid range. You will have to make sure you position safely, however, because if people get on top of Twitch, there's not too much you can do if you don't have flash to escape a bad situation. When teamfighting, you'll first want to make sure you position yourself correctly with your Q. This does have up to a 14-second camouflage duration, so you have more than enough time to get into a pretty safe position before the teamfight starts. You'll then want to make sure you focus on the targets you can safely hit on the front line. You don't want to move too far forward to get caught in a bad position and crowd controlled. You'll pretty much just die instantly. You'll have to remember that because your ultimate does actually skewer the targets, it will hit the ones behind if they are positioned pretty closely, so it is really solid at hitting an entire team if they are kind of clumped up. You don't have to be attacking the targets on the back line to actually hit them. When you do have a bunch of stacks built up onto the enemy team, you can always activate your E as well to do a nice chunk of burst damage and hopefully finish a bunch off. Now let's look at some hard matchups, and up first is Caitlyn. Caitlyn will be pretty annoying for you because she does have a natural attack range that is much larger than you, so it will be able to poke you rather easily. Of course, she also has traps as well, and if you do get caught in one, you're going to be in for a very rough time because she will headshot you and you don't have much mobility to escape. You are definitely a much better team fighter, so wait for that stage of the game and then outshine Caitlyn. In lane phase is going to be pretty AIDS. Another matchup that can be pretty hard for you is Kog'Maw. He has a very long attack range when he does activate his W, so when it is activated you have to be a lot safer than normal because he will destroy you. When you know this ability is in cooldown, you can safely trade with him because he's going to be a lot weaker, and you may even want to consider using your Q ability to stealth on top of him. If you do get ahead of him, you will be able to assassinate him over and over again, so try to get a lead on him and then start doing so. The last matchup that does have the potential to be fairly hard for you would be Varus. He will have a pretty easy time landing his abilities because you don't have a ton of mobility, and if he lands his ultimate on you, he can easily destroy you by bursting you down. He doesn't have a lot of mobility either, so if you do get a lead on him, you can use your Q ability to get on top of him over and over again and start deleting him. He's also not as good of a team fighter either, so try to get to that stage of the game and then start doing a lot of damage in team fights. Alright, now let's finish this off with the item build, which starts with either a Doran's Blade health potion and a warding totem, or a Doran's Shield health potion and a warding totem. If you feel like the lane is at least somewhat winnable, you'll always want to go for the Doran's Blade, but if you feel like it's a very pokey lane and it's going to be very hard for you, then make sure you pick up the Doran's Shield instead. Now for your core items, you'll want to go for Infinity Edge, Runaan's Hurricane, and your choice of boots. The combination of the Infinity Edge and the Runaan's Hurricane is going to give you 50% critical strike chance right off the bat with some increased critical damage and some nice damage and attack speed. Of course, the Runaan's Hurricane will also spread your shots, which works great with your passive. Now, as for your boots, usually you will want to go for Berserker Greaves to get a nice chunk of attack speed, but you will want to pick up Ninja Tabbies against high AD teams, and Merc Treads against high AP and CC heavy teams. Now, for your item pull, you first have the Static Shiv. Although the wave clear and proc damage was nerfed a little bit, it's still a pretty damn strong item and will give you 30% more critical strike chance, and of course is going to work great on Twitch. If you were against a very tanky team, you could always go for Blade of the Ruined King. This will give you some extra damage on hit, which is great at shredding through tanks. It does also have some pretty nice lifesteal on the item as well, but if you want two other sources of lifesteal, you can get either the Bloodthirster or the Mercurial Scimitar. Both of these are really solid items. I do like the Bloodthirster because it will give you a shield, which is great at absorbing poke damage, and the Mercurial Scimitar is also fantastic for breaking out of crowd controls. I would typically pick up the Bloodthirster whenever I can, but if there is a lot of CCs on the enemy team, then I'll definitely go for the Mercurial. Now, if you're then looking for some armor penetration, you can get either the LDR or the Mortal Reminder. I really prefer the LDR here because of the extra damage based on the health of the enemy you're attacking, but if you really need that Grievous Wounds against Sorakas and things of that sort, then you will have to go for Mortal Reminder. Now, two very defensive options would be the Maw and the Guardian Angel. The Maw is a pretty excellent option against AP assassins to help you avoid getting bursted, but the Guardian Angel is great all around because that defensive shield can bring you back to life in the later stages of the game, which is pretty busted. For my example fill build though, I take that core build, get some Berserker Greaves, then the Static Shiv, LDR, and a Guardian Angel. You will do an absolute ton of damage, have the armor penetration as well, and the nice defensive shield to bring you back to life if you do get caught in a bad position and end up dying. And that's all I've got for Twitch. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and visit my video description below. I have a link to all my social medias, and I do also have a Discord server, so that's one you should definitely check out. But other than that, thank you guys a ton for watching, I really do appreciate it, so take it easy, have a good day, and peace.